G'day and welcome to everybody. Again, I'm reviewing this on my YouTube channel. Done this early 2021, and since then I now have it also in N scale. For those of you who have been following my Kev's Workshop website, you'll notice since early 2022, or certainly over 3 months, I've actually been doing the N-scale L cars. Now with this, each of these carriages are 3D printed by my mate John, and they've come up beautiful. You can perhaps see some of the detail that's in these carriages. I've added a lot more detail than what's able to be seen. Yeah, there might be a wires in the way, I know. But the grab rails on the end of the carriage, plus the lamp irons, by comparison to the white metal body cars by Lloyd's Model Rail, you can sort of see some of the detail that's on the end. That's the HO scale version, of course. And I've linked all these together, and that's what I've done also in N scale. Now I'm using the Microtrains Civil War era bogies for the carriages. They're 4 scale feet long, not 6, which is what they should be. And basically it's all I had available to do the cars. As you can see amongst here, I've done a vestibule for between, which all the HO scale will end up with as well. So I've done 3 of these in N scale at this point in time, and I've only done 1 in the HO scale, which both sets will be completed eventually. With all these carriages, I've actually added in the truss rods, the queen posts, and all the underfloor detail on each of the carriages. So luckily I've had the HO scale set to work too. Gives me all the correct details, measurements, everything that I needed. So you can see there I've got the HO and N scale vestibules. Hopefully it's a bit easier for you to see. See here on the buffet car, it's on the HO scale set. That's the correct window alignment. When my mate John had a friend help him do the 3D drawing, he stuffed up. So I've had to panel in the door and the extra windows. So according to his friend's set of plans, that's how they were. But this is how I know them to be on the buffet car. So I've actually had a ride in these sort of carriages in my young days. So that's the RFL, which is a buffet car, and that's the RFL in N scale. So there's a few minor mistakes made when the 3D drawing was done, but apart from that, the carriages have come up quite nicely. Now I'm using Rayleigh paints, the Indian red, and I'm using automotive silver. So the silver paint comes from Super Cheap Autos here in Australia. So it's just ordinary stock silver, Australian export. Now what I'm doing for the set, I'm running a Rapido on this end of the set, and that swings independent of the bogie. You can sort of see the end detail on this car, which is my leading car on the set. The only thing I've got to do is put in the red dots for the tail lights on both ends, and you get the decals for the N scale set. To show you an idea, there's the HO scale set by comparison. Set 85 was the second last of the sets. So set 80 to set 86. 86 was the Caves Express. 85 is one of the generic sets they ran. So that's why I've chosen set 85. So at least with this, folks, hopefully you'll like to, or hopefully you'll like what I've done so far, in both HO and in N. Each of these sets have taken ages to build. The HO scale set being white metal bodies with wooden roofs and floors. By comparison, These are white metal cast roof vents. They are the torpedo style roof vents. What I've done to achieve this sort of effect in end scale, I've used Pico end scale track pins and ground each one of them so they're in a similar torpedo shape. After marking and drilling, each one of those track pins are glued in as roof vents. As it's going around, you wouldn't know the difference perhaps, and just one by comparison, here on the RFL car, I'll just come up to the HO scale version, you'll notice that one roof vent is slightly different. It's a flattener vent, which is like a whirly gig type of thing. And all I've done here is left one track pin as a standard Pico track pin, a bit of wire insulation around it to represent the flattener vent. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. Now today being near the end of September 2022, I shall be giving the HO scale set a run around the layout, which this board you can see is just one section of. But I really wanted to show those of you who are interested in my modelling as to what I have achieved in both HO and in N. Now to give you an idea, this is the full size set going to New South Wales 36, and you can see here how beautiful these carriages were in real life. They only ever ran as a 6-car set to my knowledge, and I grew up in New South Wales as a little kid from the mid 60s onwards, so I remember seeing these in heritage use. I don't know if there's anything of these preserved at the moment. I know there are individual cars preserved in different places, but as a complete set I don't know if a complete set exists. My plan is to do a C36 in N scale again, and I will have a 36 eventually onto my N scale set. Just bear with me, I'll change camera positions. Okay, this different position. You see my C35 class at the bottom. That's what the Loco originally looked like, the black version that is. I had toyed with the idea of doing a C36 using the Fleischmann Loco. Problem is, tender driven. I can't lengthen the wheelbase on the tender to be more what the 36 needs to be. So that's why I opted for doing the C35. And yes, I've got a second set of L cars to do up as the Caves Express, set 86, and that'll run behind me 35. So you can sort of see the comparison here between both locomotives, and they are both N scale. Problem being tender drive. If the loco wheels tighten up, it looks wrong when it's skating along the track. So yes, I shall just change positions again, and although not quite sitting correctly, you can see the 35 on the front of the L cars, or Cub set as they were known. So my second set, which I'll get started on hopefully before the end of 2022, will be the blue and cream set. But this will give you some indication as to what it'll be like. Now those of you watching from interstate, overseas, whichever, if you don't know much about Australian railways, the C35 was originally the NN class before the renumbering scheme came in, so they were nicknamed nannies. So the C35, 460, Belpaire firebox, these are all rebuilt locomotives in full size. They had modifications done to them as they came on into the workshops and came out re-released in this variant, this formation. The C35s are commonly used on this sort of train, and the Caves Express went from Sydney on the east coast of Australia up through the Blue Mountains to the west to a place called Lithgow, and then they returned back to Sydney. So therefore there's a tail car at the leading end, HFL, and if you look at the tail end of the train, second HFL, another tail car. So that's the reason why They are like this because they are end-to-end trains. For those who are interested in knowing, the HFL in this case on both trains, Sydney end, and in this configuration you've got the HFL at the tail, followed by a BL. In the middle you've got the RFL, buffet car. Then you've got twin BL cars, and at the leading end another HFL. So if we look at the the HO set, this would be the Sydney end, or Sydney terminal end, and you're looking out west to the leading end of the train. So when this came back from Lithgow, that would be the tail end of the train at this end. Hope that doesn't bore you too much or confuse you too much. All I've got to really do with the in-scale set is get the decals, if I can get a hold of them anywhere. I've got someone to contact, so if they will do them for me in in-scale, I'll be wrapped. The people who produce the HO scale decals, which is Wessex Transfers, are the people I've got in mind. If they can do them into in-scale, I'll be wrapped. Well, very soon I'm going to be setting up Wombat flats, which is this module you can see is just one section of. The whole layout itself is around 24 feet long, if you want to go imperial scale, and about 8 feet wide. So, with the LED lighting up top, I'll just give you a bit of an idea of the cantilever system I'm using. Bit of aluminium tubing and aluminium angle. Just basically slotted onto the backdrop, and that's how it's holding in place. Very simple setup. And the wiring just runs through the tube. I'll see if I can show it to you. This is LED strip lighting from JK Electronics here in Australia. And that's the end of the roll, of course. And from underneath, the wiring, it's a bit hard for you to see maybe, but inside that bit of tubing, which is up here, let's get my finger there in the right spot. It's hard to see the LED lighting in the way, but down that tubing is where the wire runs. So the wire runs from up the end, back, down here and out the back. The easiest way I can do it. Well, in a moment I shall get out some other bits and pieces to show you. Actually, before I go setting up the rest of the layout, I'll just change positions again. Just come back over to here. My belly table just got crap on it at the moment. Good crap at that. Made up a box for a loco I got some years ago. Ben Dennis Castle in 00. Hornby job, of course. And if you're going to model in multiple scales, why not have it in N scale as well? So this one's the Graham Farish N scale job with the Hornby HO scale version, or 00 version. Now the thing is, for those who don't understand or don't know, Ben Dennis Castle was sold from the Great Western Rail in the UK, came to Western Australia, lived here for a number of years, and eventually went back to the UK after being sold back. I'm led to believe that she's back into steam, but I've also got Flying Scotsman as well, so that'll run in tandem with that. New South Wales carriages behind it, and there's a WA tour. So if you're looking at modelling a bit of WA, not 00, if you're looking at modelling some WA gear and you want to do a tour, Flying Scotsman, Ben Dennis Castle and New South Wales 12-wheelers, you'd be able to get away with doing the Western Australian tour. Bear with me a minute. Now, earlier in 2022, certainly before around Easter time, I ended up buying this from Eureka Models directly. Now, I had made one several years ago. There's a lid to the box. Now, back in the 80s, a company called Green Max, they made a powered chassis. I eventually got to make, by the late 80s, early 90s, a CPH rail car. And it's in its traditional colours. Might be a bit hard to see until I get it out of the box properly. Not easy to try handle things with one hand. But anyway, that's motorised CPH rail car number 1. Now, because I've had that for some years, I ended up finding when the CPHs came out in HA scale, I couldn't afford one at the time. So, back only a few months ago, I managed to get a hold of the HA scale version. It comes complete with a book. And hopefully I'll get this one a run today. There's a whole, bugger it. There's a whole pile of pages anyhow which won't open at the moment. And basically with that, it tells you all about the unit, how to operate it, sort of thing. Once you remove that, sponge foam. This was made for the CPH CTH, TH being the trailer car, PH being the power car. This one is in Tuscan russet. Not necessarily colour scheme I agree with, but it's better than an ugly candy stripe. Now this is an 8-wheel drive. It's a very weighty unit for what it is. Bi-directional headlighting, and the fact it's got sound on board. It's the upmarket model which I got for the base price. And I thought, oi, I'm going to get this one. Last of its stock. So basically, I'll be setting up Wombat flats as I say very soon, and you'll be able to hear and see this thing running. So to have sound on board, brilliant job. Guys at Eureka, you've done a brilliant job getting this sort of equality and that. But if you're into modelling Australian, Eureka is just one of many. Australian models are another. They're the 2 leading brands of Australian model railways. Years ago, Hornby and Lima did do their versions of it. Well, there's their versions of Australian. And if I get this lid back onto here now, there we go. Move the CPH out of the way. What I also have to show you, only a couple of weeks ago, I was better than get one. I got 2 IDR models, New South Wales 70 classes. Taxation is a good time for me this year. So, 7001 class leader. There are 10 of them in service. And this is in its Indian red colour, which is what you see on the box. Now, 7006 is preserved by the New South Wales Rail Transport Museum. That's in the reverse colour scheme. So, hence, I couldn't get one without the other. Several years ago, I did manage to get a loco, which is actually not under the Kato name, but Hobby Train title. And this is the German equivalent. And yes folks, I do have intentions of converting that into one of these. Same wheel arrangement, 060 with the jack shaft in the centre. Cabs are on, but New South Wales 71 class has that same style of cab. And 7101 was the sole member. So, with the 70s, they were Australian built. Obviously, perhaps based on the German locomotive. I can't recall what class these were. I think these are BR10s for memory, I can't remember exactly. So, again, vacuum sealed boxes. That is a lid and all that, so well vacuum forming. Once you get through the instructions, got to fold it all out, but yeah, I can't be bothered at the moment. And the detail on these are brilliant. I've only had it on the test rollers for a little bit, So today, both of these, when I get them out, will hopefully, you'll be able to see how well they look and run. There's a nose weight that goes in the nose of the loco, should you actually need it, so it's supplied. This one will says X shot display. It doesn't have the sleeve around the box, but just like everything else nowadays, the way it's modelled, I'll get this out properly in a while. 7001 in its original form. Beautiful detail on it, and for what I've seen, bi-directional lighting. So I shall get both of these out in a while so you can actually see them and see how well they run. I've got some friends coming over very soon to help me setting up Wombat flats, so it'll be a while setting that up. So what I shall do, once that's all set up, I shall do some more recording. I won't get 7006 out just yet. So the 7006 in the reverse colour scheme has got basically the yellow nose with the brown lining. So there's the two 70 classes together. And something else I need to get up and out for you. Another latest purchase through Berg's Hobbies, Mini Models brand. Berg's Hobbies actually is Mini Models, well, Mini Models is part of Berg's Hobbies. Sydney Suburban Sputnik set. Now, you got the double deck intermediate cars, so single at either end. It's a W set. Now these cars, there's so many different makers of these Sydney Suburbans, also known as Red Rattlers. Now they had sash windows that, look at here, you drop them down to floor level and away you go. So in amongst all this, if you open this up, you got decals to your own car numbers, the different sets, again instructions, and some more instructions. In amongst all this, once you remove that, there's your set. Up here we've got the power car, 8-wheel drive. I've only had it out enough to just chuck it on me length of track. But you've got doors here that actually slide open and closed. Your trailer car, which is the unmotorised power car. And then onto there we've got the two intermediate double deck cars. Full size, these were made by Tullux in Sydney. And they lasted for many years. And these now gone into preservation. So we shall see to this in a while. Okay folks, now got the layout all set up. Got the CPH out on the main line.
Coconut cream flavoured peanuts.
Sadly enough, the backdrop's taken a bit of a hit with the snails and water droplets and whatever. However, Eureka models, as I was showing you earlier.
Peanuts.
I'll try it. Where did you get these from?
I'm running this standard H&M control.
A lot of people, I've heard, will microwave it for about 30 seconds.
I've got a dead spot here, just bear with me.
Yeah.
Good old hand of God nonsense.
Asian thing to do. Oh, right.
This one's got inertia built into it. Dual mode DC, DCC.
Yeah, gotta have those two. I've got a brand new thing, that's all I bought it ages ago, I haven't opened it. What time did you get? Like the other dog on trade is the fresh
The
fruit.
interior lighting, head lighting and tail lighting at both
That's
ends.
what I get it from. But because I eat fruit during the week, that's my regular thing at work is
And turn the throttle up a bit and it'll
orange,
pick up speed.
mandarin, or something like that.
So I'm using old analog type control. When I bring the voltage down, it'll slow down. But the problem is when I change direction, it goes through a restart cycle. It does have a horn built into it, so at least on a digital control you can actually have that horn as a separate function.
There's the trash bit from Becca. When the member ones, they're all extra lights.
Okay, let's take it for a run around the Wombat Flats.
They're rare. I got it off the Dutch shop. Huh?
As you can hear, I've got company over at the moment. And my YouTube subscribers have turned up as well. Might remember my visit to Davo's once, mid-2020. Well, Davo's come over to see my layout.
How easy it is to
Waco
put
job.
away.
Those
You just
Viking jobs.
twist it opposite ways.
Oh, is that? It's just like those pop tanks.
Yeah.
I've got one of them at home. You've got to twist it and.
This is so much
And it goes-
smaller than the usual hand pan. So I'm just like, yeah.
I'd like to be able to fit it in a wallet.
Yeah, yeah, that would
it's-
just fit. That would just fit in the wallet.
I mean, they say. I carry around at least a tall
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But everyone's got one of these.
I even have painkillers, I have
I carry them on me.
I've got inventions, I like the one I like. Wet wipes. This is so cute. But if you set it up right,
Yeah, Asian shop.
if you set it up right, you can actually
Oh, that's cool. I mean, that's not for that container right up, because it looks so cool.
yeah. Because of the little door.
Oh, like, just a little
I was waiting for fun. But they're not too expensive.
There you go, I hope you like the CPH running. So I'm about to change over and run something else.
No, you both have my problem code.
It's our
Oh, cool.
Okay, so now we're back. The CPH is put away.
No,
It's 7001 in its original colour scheme. The true colour scheme as I call it.
Oh,
So I don't get the
Now we saw this on a bit more earlier in this video.
okay.
So this is now out of the box and on the layout for the first time. And as I did say, 7006 in the reverse colours.
Oh, that's an idea.
Yeah.
And preserved by New South Wales Rail Transport Museum.
Yeah, well.
Both brilliant models, both highly detailed.
Yeah.
Both got head and tail lights at each end. What I'm about to do is just a bit of manual hand shunting. And what I'm about to do, I'll just take it backwards to start with.
Just see if I can break this.
way you can see the tail lights.
Adjustment, that's all.
Now if I bring it forwards again, lights change
see,
direction.
We've got to get one of them to work, but I use a steel rule. A rule on my disc.
Now this is perhaps around half throttle, I would guess. I'll do a passing shot with these in a moment. Purposely running these too slow. I'll spin them up a bit later.
The rock won't be tracked. Ah! You got the the little British, the little British wizard.
That's how I get it out. I haven't actually had a chance to run it yet.
You haven't run it on the track.
I think Dave's run it for me once.
I've heard it. And then the rest hinge. Yeah, that's right. Best to do it over on a flat surface. That was the old 1980s style boxes. Yeah, these old style ones were very similar to the old Hornby boxes. But these were British made. I think these were.
So how many years ago did I buy that as a birthday present? 2 years has been used once.
So many were made, but these 1990s ones were definitely
True.
in Britain they were made, yeah. Made in England. I like the English made stuff better than Chinese.
I've only had these locos a couple of weeks. First time on a layout.
Designed in England, made in China. Production.
So these are the RDR models, 70 classes.
Paces. Not exorbitants. Yeah, nah.
In real life, these are only shunting engines. It's for transferring short loads from one depot to another depot and so on.
Holy moly!
I brought a large percentage of my collection, I just grabbed it.
I just noticed it, yeah. He hit the massive trolley and everything. I didn't know it. I wasn't watching it.
Well, change trains in a moment.
Ah, I see your husband too.
In Canada.
Okay, coming through at full throttle. And what I'm doing, just slowing it down for you.
How are you going to travel on that?
You can see the tail lights disappear.
Do you think
And coming back the other way.
The Mach 1s.
But do you think I can find any in the red?
Yeah.
Well, not with these. I'm not giving.
You just have to paint them.
So there you go.
Well, I'm not giving JK.
It's a pair of 70 classes.
She's got enough money to be
Oh yeah, JK.
terrific.
I'm not going to worry.
Now I'm just going to swap over these two for my other latest purchase that I've got.
It's used.
I'll show you that in just a moment.
Sorry. Well,
Yes, you did.
Jesus
Okay, here we go. This is the Sputnik power car.
Scary.
This one we saw a little bit earlier in my video.
Scary. Not
And it does have operational doors. So these doors can actually slide open and close accordingly.
I don't know how much that took. It said it takes like 10 litres.
So,
No, it doesn't take.
passing Hogwarts, yes. So with this, you can actually have the pantograph lock up or down.
Yeah, yeah.
I can do it single-handed.
The rubber, the airbag.
There we go.
I don't know what they let them go that badly?
Disc again, please.
And the way that this is set up, they do work independently, do work together in a linked form.
2 years.
Harry Potter.
2 years. A long debut, but
Hogwarts.
And with this,
Where did they get the name?
this shows
It's
all
the
the
most
lighting.
disgusting name you could think of, isn't it?
You got your main western line.
Yeah, she plays
But the
her.
American
Your
ones always
line goes through to the Harbour Bridge, North Shore line. You got the other line north.
Well, it's
So
not
they're all,
that-
there's a separate code for each one of them.
It's a bit like the
Durmstrang.
band.
But
You know, Trevor Horn's band, the Buggles.
alright, so you got that
You know where they got the name from?
and tail lights.
But he was trying to think of the most disgusting name he could think of for a band.
And now it's
came up with
cute.
that.
No, it's stupid as a
Right.
Okay.
Well, it was a marketing thing.
Lunch time.
It was a
Thank you.
marketing thing for him because Trevor Horn was
Get it one more.
The full 4-car set, double Hilux in the middle, and it's starting to get the end.
Yeah, I think so too. Him and Jeff Downs. Jeff Downs.
They used to go with a matching colour.
All seatbelt trains are effective. With own safety, please don't run these trains.
But luckily I had red face and another red face. So while she was building,
As you've seen this part of the video, the Berg's Hobby City Decker set.
so she was still
Come through here.
but he was staying inside with us. So
This is the Berg City Decker set. Mate Tim owns this one. Put these two sets together. So now I've just parked this one up. As now you've had a good chance to see it drive. It's got plenty of underfloor detail, doors that slide, pantograph that does actually work up and down. Don't know yet if it's electrified, so we'll find out in a moment. Only disappointment with this particular set, that could be a one-off. Coupling here on the rear of the trailing power car is hanging low. Apart from that one minor issue, it's a beautiful set.
They don't stick to your hand.
So that once I get this coupling sorted, I'll be right.
mine's got a magnetic case.
Yeah.
So I just stick it to the side of the microwave or the oven and then
No, that's an idea.
So I hope you like this review. The Berg's Hobbies W set. One power car, two intermediates, and a trailer. Plus also the Berg's Hobbies City Decker set. And Mini Models is actually part of Berg's, or Berg's own brand. Also that, we've seen 7006 and 7001, the IDR models.
I like the stuff that I get.
And on top of that, the Eureka Model CPH. apart from this one here having sound, dual mode DC, DCC. The IDR models are DCC ready, I'm led to believe. And I'd suggest the Berg's Hobbies mini models W set is also the same. So realistically,
You could have told me how to proceed instead.
these are the ones that we've just been reviewing today in this video. I hope you enjoy what you like seeing and all that. And I might tell you a little bit more on in just a moment.
Couplers there, they're a bit horrid, aren't they? As in you put
Just taking on this bit of video of the RTM special. Running the Cub cars.
In Europe, they tended to run, their loading gauges are a lot smaller and they tended to run a lot of Bogo locomotives. So that, yeah, they don't run the same size of locos we run here. Even in UK, a lot of the later locos are Bogo. Yeah. Wagons were common in Europe. Not so much here after wagons. Buggy hoppers, what they call those. It is a steel carrier. They call it steel carriers, just bloody gondolas essentially. The other guy had the VMUs, because I recognised that straight away. That's a European, I couldn't put my, because I could check Slovakia, I was thinking more Ukraine. That was the other place I was thinking. Stevie running was one.
Oh, he brought down the...
Damn it. Bloody Euro colours. Paradox circuit to get the sound. Basic voltage. The dynamics of the electric current.
How much flavor and I thought it's John, you was unhappy for that. Oh yeah, good idea.
And tag on something slightly different. Not too bad for an old Lima 38 without a traction tyre.
Yeah, I know, I saw that yesterday. More than expected. Might as well run a couple, put a couple more locos on, another loco on it, and run a 1980s theme, 70s, 80s theme.
There you go folks, I hope you enjoyed that. Catch you next time.
Some light painted ones in here. No, I won't put them on. Onwards. I think they were like Lithgow put on a pair of 44s. They run the 44s from Central all the way through to Broken Hill and then hitch on the I've seen them run. What was the equivalent of the South Australian version of the 45 class? Was that the
900.
900? So